Last week, we got Wilbur's final lore stream for his character for Dream SMP Season 1, and I feel like that stream opened up a lot more questions than answers. A lot of people were extremely confused as to why Wilbur chose to go to Utah at the end of it, and it's opened up a lot of opportunities to come up with theories about what actually happened with Wilbur, starting with Wilbur actually being dead. You see, throughout the stream, Tommy was extremely confused as to where Wilbur would be going, and said to Wilbur he's scared that Wilbur might try and unalive himself, which is a fair thing to be scared about, as Wilbur for the past few months has been going around to everybody on the server and apologizing to them. He's trying to leave everybody on a good note before he left for Utah. But what happens if Utah is a sort of metaphor for his limbo? We've heard before that Wilbur's limbo is a train station, and that's where Ghostber currently is. So what happens if Wilbur did somehow die, but instead of going to his normal limbo at the train station, he's been taken to Utah, which some would say probably worse. Now there's a bunch of flaws with this theory, one being that if Wilbur dies, surely Ghostber comes back. But from what I know, Wilbur would be the first person to have died, be resurrected, then died again. So maybe because Ghostber technically died as well, they're just both stuck in limbo now, and there's no way of him returning. Also, how Wilbur already knew that he'd be going to Utah and kind of explained it to Tommy that that's where he's going to, and he has a whole backstory there, wouldn't make too much sense if he was planning on dying. But there is an item on the server that sort of backs this theory up. You see, before Wilbur left, he left a book for Erit, and Erit actually read this book out on stream, and in it says, "You didn't deserve any of what was done to you. It was a pleasure to speak with you today. For the first time in a while, I've felt calmness. Please never give up trying to unite people. It is a difficult cause, but one far nobler than any I have ever possessed. You are not the villain. Your grand works and statues will outlive any of the horrible tales spun about your past. When the day comes and we all finally pass on, I like to think we all reconvene in a large desert. I want to believe that the desert is where people start anew and figure out who they were supposed to be in this grand life of ours. We've lived too long, Erit. We were supposed to be together in that desert, recounting times we were adversaries and shaking hands with our foes. We still have a long way to go though, but that desert, that blank slate of sand, it's waiting for us. Dearest Erit, see you in UT." And obviously from some of the stuff he said in this book, there is a lot of links to his final lore stream, especially the "see you in UT." See you in Utah. A massive hint to where he was going just a day or two before it actually happened. But also on page 6 when he says,
"When the day comes and we all finally pass on, I like to think we'd all reconvene in a large desert."
which also could be linking to Utah, which also hints to that he's already passed on and he's gone to Utah, this large desert. And also on page 6 it says,
"I want to believe that the desert is where people start anew and figure out who they were supposed to be in this grand life of ours."
And if we take a throwback to what Dream said for season 2 of the Dream SMP, he says there's going to be a sort of world-altering event and people are going to change. And I believe that people like Wilbur and others are going to start a new character or something. So maybe they all reconvene in this desert, something happens, and they start anew. They start a brand new life, their relationships change, everything like that. Now, I do really like this theory, but I also think Wilbur wouldn't write his character off like that. I don't think Wilbur would just kill his character and not show it or anything like that and never really confirm that his character's actually dead. And potentially the more meaningful side of this is that Wilbur is just left because he doesn't feel like he deserves to be around the people he's hurt. And because of this, he's decided to apologize to everyone to make sure he leaves on good terms and goes back to his roots and where he's originally from. This would mean we'd see his character in the future because he's not actually dead and he could potentially come back when he feels like he deserves to. And also means that Filzer, because canonically is Wilbur's dad somehow, he's actually from Utah as well. And when Wilbur left and said, "Don't trust the Americans," is a joke that they used to say.
Wait, before I go, Tommy, can you hear me? Tommy.
Yeah.
Don't trust those Americans.
Potentially, he's saying, "Don't trust Phil." No, I'm just kidding. That's obviously just a joke, and Phil would never do anything bad, right? Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and drop a like, and if you have any more theories, drop them in the comment section.